I am so excited to be filming this video. It's one that I've been looking forward to for quite some time, and it's just going through the must-haves for baby items.
Hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun.
I am now on my second child, so I've had time to kind of consider for my first, and I'm kind of reevaluating for my second. That's something I'll add in as well. At the end is considering that I'm moving on to my second, what are some additional choices and some additional things that I'm hoping to make. Just keep in mind too that there will be kind of like a sister video to this, that I'll go through the things that I found I did not need. And all of this is coming from what I would consider myself to be kind of a minimalist, not in the true definition as I've seen online, or the extreme definition, but I definitely know that most of the stuff that I have and the way that I live is very minimalistic. And so that's the perspective that I'm coming from. And I know that helps a lot of people because others are like me and like to live kind of simply with fewer items. And some of us are also just in a position where we have to. A couple of notes. One, this is not going to include any sort of clothing or baby wearing accessories. And then also, where this comes from is very specific to my personality and Eric's personality and our lifestyle. So for example, we are really bad at laundry. Like, we hate laundry. And so that influences some of the choices that we're gonna make. Additionally, our lifestyle is that we really like to be out and about and we're social. So we're with people, we want to be able to go on date nights. And so we're gonna have that in mind with the products that we have as well. From a spiritual perspective, what I really felt the weight of is that scripture teaches us a lot about stewardship. And when I first had Hadley, we really didn't have that much money. And so I had to be strategic about the things that we purchased and made sure that I was being a good steward of our money. And now we might have a little bit more room, but I found that I still feel like just where our means are doesn't give us the freedom and the flexibility to spend a lot on a baby, especially during this time period. So that's going to influence some of the decisions that we made as well. All right, so let's dive into the list. Big one, obviously, is diaper bag of some sort. We chose a backpack diaper bag. It was really practical because Eric actually stayed home with Hadley at first for a couple of days a week, and because he worked from home, so it just worked. And so I wanted him to have something that he felt really comfortable carrying around. So that became a backpack. And you need it. You really do. You don't go out of the house without it. So I would encourage you to have some sort of a diaper bag. The next one is another obvious one right when they're coming home. They normally don't go into a crib, a full-size crib. So we had a bedside sleeper. We didn't co-sleep, so that was essential for us, making sure we had something that could be by our bed. I know there's some new things as well where you can, where it's like a crib, a sleeper, but it goes in your bed with you as well. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever you want to do, you just need something to make sure that baby can be have a place to sleep when they first come home. For that, you also need a sheet. At least for ours, we needed a sheet for it. I only just had one and it just worked for us. We used it for about, let me think, three to 5 months. I can't remember when it was. And then she moved into the full-size crib. So then we immediately needed a crib right after that. So a crib and a set of sheets. You don't need blankets. You don't need all this other stuff. Some people will put up bumpers, whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. We just stuck with a crib and sheet. And that was it. That was just all there was to it. We also needed a changing table and then sort of organization for wipes and diapers. And I add that in there because sometimes people, like I've heard of friends who just have the changing pad like we have right here, but it would be very mobile. So they might like just kind of whip it out and keep it on the bed all day or on the couch or on some sort of something. And then they'd have a carrier with the diaper and the wipes. You don't need necessarily a full-blown changing table. For us, we actually got a desk for free and remodeled it. You can actually see it over here to my side. And I painted it white and put a little curtain behind it, and that's where I stored like extra diapers and wipes. And we also have a diaper pail there now. And then in the drawers, we had the diapers and a couple other miscellaneous things. And it worked for us. So you'll definitely need something to change baby on because that happens a lot. Next for us, burp cloths. This was progressive. When I first had Hadley, we had a couple of them, but she ended up being an incredibly messy eater. We had a lot of struggles with nursing actually, but we kept going until about 5.5 months. And so it was just always a really messy ordeal. So I had burp cloths. Turns out it just wasn't even enough. I needed double the amount of burp cloths that I had. I think I had 12 at least, and we were constantly running through them. In a given day, thinking about how many times that you're like nursing, we just ran through those. We also found the magic number for like swaddles or blankets was 3. We did not use any swaddles. You know, they make these cute little wrappy things and everything. I think I had 1 or 2 of them and just found that I liked blankets more. I liked swaddling, the act of like putting her together in something and then swaddling up in a blanket, much better. And 3 seemed to be like the big thing. Like for the most part, I was swaddling her while she was sleeping. She had clothing underneath. I didn't have to wash it all the time. But there were times when I might have needed to wash it, and then something also would have gotten messy. So then I just needed that 3rd one. 2 potentially you could get by with, but I really think that 3 was the magic number for us. So 3 swaddles or blankets. You also need your car seat, obviously. And I found that having the carrier stroller combo was priceless. We walked all the time, and we also got out. Like, I actually went to grocery stores within a week or 2 of having baby. Like, we were constantly doing things. I had this really sweet friend who would come over actually a couple times a week and take Hadley on a walk. And so having the carrier that went right into the stroller was fantastic. I know I have some friends who never really used it. For us, this was good for us. We had an active lifestyle, and so we really needed it, and I'm glad we had it. I would also suggest having some sort of bouncer or rocker. So this was pretty simple for us. We got one that sits on the ground and just rocks automatically and vibrates. Hadley loved it, and it was our go-to piece. It was the only piece that we had that was out in the house in the living room. And now this was kind of a convenience thing for us because we lived in a small condo. When we first had Hadley, we just didn't have the space for all the big stuff. But we also found we didn't need it. We didn't need multiple options and catering to this one or that one or which situation are we in. Like if she had the one, that was just all she knew and that's what she adjusted to. So I would say, personally, I think you only need 1. We did have a second one, and it came because she had acid reflux and was having a hard time just sleeping in the normal bedside sleeper. And so someone recommended to us that we get her kind of a little more upright. And so we moved her into my absolute favorite item that we own, and it's this rocker sleeper thing. And so it's very simple, 1 button and it folds up. It's so convenient. It rocks on its own and it plays different music and sound. And she slept in that actually for a little while before we moved her back into the bedside sleeper. So I would say for us, having the 2 was essential because the one that rocked on the ground was just not all that convenient to be like carting around. And when we would go to a friend's house and we wanted to stay a little bit later, this little rocker, I mean, you just pressed a button, it folded up, and it would go anywhere in the car. Like, it was so easy to handle, and then we just carried it out, popped it open, and she could just sleep anywhere. It was so nice, and we didn't need the extra sound machine or anything else to go with it. It had something soothing. So I think that was really essential as well. And so I would recommend at least 1, but you might want a second one, depending on what your situation is. both Eric and I had a baby carrier, a body baby carrier each. We started out with just the wrap, and Eric just didn't care for the wrap. It didn't work too well for him, and so he had a harness then. But I preferred the wrap, and again, this was happening almost every day. You know, Eric would put her in the harness and do life. I would put baby in the carrier in my wrap, and she just really liked it. It was just snuggly. So this was really helpful for us to maintain like a really active lifestyle, was to keep her in the wrap. And I think it's really common for most women to want one as well and to enjoy having one. I would say that that's the bulk of it. Like those are the main things that you need. And there were a couple of things here that I would say were not needs, but really, really were that extra touch of convenience for us that I found made a huge difference. And so one of those would be the sound machine, or people have talked to me about a shusher. And I found that the one key factor was that when we were out or in a unique place or even overnight somewhere, that sound machine brought a sense of familiarity to her, and she slept really well at other people's houses. When we would travel, it was nice, and I equate a lot of it to the sound machine. So if you have a sound machine or a shusher thing or whatever it is, I think that's great. And I also believe that that all of my research and everything that I've done has shown that getting a child to sleep really well at night adds major quality to their life. And so that was important. Like whatever I needed to do to make sure that this child could sleep comfortably all through the night and have a good night, I was willing to do. And so the sound machine was one of those things. She really likes it. It's really nice. And we still use it today. Another thing that we had, you actually can see it, is a wipe warmer. Like, honestly, some people know the list before is the obvious list. I would say this is the big ad. Like for me, yes, you need a wipe warmer. And it's because in the middle of the night, when this sweet little baby, especially between like newborn and 8 weeks, you're getting up and changing that child in the middle of the night, and a cold wipe on their bottom, it can be so startling. And I watched the difference between times where I didn't have fresh ones in there or whatever the situation, like it alerted Hadley a lot more, and it would wake her up, it would cause her to cry, it would scream, whatever. But if I had a warm wipe, it was like nothing was happening. It was like she could stay sleeping while I changed her diaper. So I think this is fantastic. Really not throughout the day. Like it is to me, the most elaborate thing that we have is a wipe warmer, but I think it's amazing. Like amazing. I would do that again 1,000 times. The last one too is a pump, and then of course all the stuff you need with it, including milk bags and bottles. For our family, I was going back to work, so pumping was essential. And so many people understand that. If you're a working mom, you're going back to work, you're going to plan to pump, you're going to plan to formula feed, whatever that looks like. I have also talked with a lot of my friends, my mama friends, and I would say that I think there is a lot of weight and positive reasons behind choosing to pump even if you are not a working mom. I have a friend who, for the first 2 weeks, because that was kind of life, so baby was born, she knew she was feeding every 2.5, 3 hours, like it was intense. You know, she was tired and exhausted, but like she really needed to get her milk supply up. So she just committed for 2 weeks, like I'm just doing it. So she just pumped a ton, every chance she got, almost after every feeding, except for at night. Like she was like, I'm just gonna pump. This is what I'm gonna do. And she did. And after like 2 to 3 weeks, she had a entire supply full of it and did not need to pump again. And she was able to use that milk for months later than then to take to mom and dad so that they could watch baby, so she could go to the grocery store and not get stressed out, because life is hard and sometimes you don't get out the door when you want, but then you can't not go out because you have to nurse but you don't want to take baby. Like there's all these complicated things. But I would say the majority of our lives are that we need some freedom and flexibility, and there's good things that come with that, and I would encourage you to pump for sure. So the last things I'll mention here before kind of finishing up are things that I did not have with Hadley and I plan to get, and I will be having with Anastasia. So the big one was actually extra sets of sheets. With the bedside sleeper, we really did fine with one. Like, I don't know, we just managed. As soon as she went to the big crib and she could move around, or she would be a dirty baby, and I mean, all these different things, like her sheets just got gross. And as I mentioned before, we're not the best with laundry. So we ended up really wanting to have that extra set of sheets. I think we got ourselves caught a couple of times where we had to throw a blanket down because the sheet was not done. So I would say some extra set of sheets would be really handy. We also only had 3 bottles for Hadley. Friends, I actually, I pumped. We did formula. I was gone for 9 hours a day after 12 weeks, and we still made it on only 3 bottles. So this is kind of two-sided. I'm here to tell you, you can make it on only 3 bottles. I'm also telling you, I personally, for the cost involved and the little space they take up, I'm going for only 2 more this time. We only did 3, and I'm probably gonna pump it up. Pump it up. That's funny. Kind of a pun, right? Anyway, I will go for having 5 bottles for sure. I also have already purchased, and I'm ready with nursing covers. I thought I would be fine without it, and honestly, I didn't know. I didn't know what kind of a nursing mom I would be. I might be like a free one. I didn't really care. I didn't know if I was going to be private and always do it in a private area. I just didn't know. And turns out I'm the kind of mom who wants to still be present, but also wasn't comfortable being free. And so I didn't just want to pull my shirt up or whatever else. I liked the idea of having a cover. And so that was something that I purchased, and I am going to probably use with Anastasia as well. That is everything that I would say is essential for you. I think attempting to do things minimalistically, I think it brings freedom, and I really enjoy it myself. I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. It'd be awesome to talk through things that maybe I missed, or things that you thought were essential, or if you found a way around any of these things that I've listed. Make sure that you like and subscribe to get more. And final note is, make sure to check out the sister video to this, which is things that you don't really need and that I've managed to do without. So thanks again, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.